Hey everybody, what's going on? Jordan Connect here with another episode of Embrace the Chase, and I'm very excited because we're 60 episodes in today, and you all are in for a treat. We have the author of The Ethical Coach Leader on with us today, Dwight Johnson. He is the man, the myth, the legend, and he is from my hometown, Colorado Springs, Colorado, so you guys are in for a serious treat. But, sir, is there anything you would like to add to that?
Where's Colorado Springs? Is that in Colorado or North Dakota?
Definitely Colorado, but it's funny you say it because people say that all the time. I've had people and they say, "You're from Colorado Springs? Is that near the Colorado River in like Nevada or something?" I'm like, no, not even close.
No, not even close.
But excited to have you on. For those of you that are watching live or watching the replay, we're going to have him kind of start us from the very beginning. So, sir, could you kind of tell us your story and then how you eventually got led up to writing this book?
You bet. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force, and I was, I had been, let's see, I had taught, and I was the department head at the Department of Services at the Air Force Institute of Technology, and I had been a squadron commander or a division chief 5 times. And one of the problems that I had with people was that, oh, we've got to crunch the numbers and we've got to make sure that we're looking good, and all saying, no, we need to tell the truth. We need to be up front as much as we possibly can. When I retired from the Air Force, I became the executive director of USA Table Tennis, and I only lasted a year because I basically told the table tennis board that we needed to go with the parameters that the U.S. Olympic Committee was setting forth with us, and they objected to that, and so we parted ways. I then taught high school. I taught a class called Character, in which I taught Ben Franklin's 13 Virtues. And then after that, I became the principal of a founding principal of a charter school. It was a middle school. Let's see. Sex class. Boys went to school with boys. Girls went to school with girls because boys and girls learn differently at that age. And then I was Air Force Academy asking me, knowing that I was still in the area, asking that I come up and be the director of Arnold Hall Student Center. And I did, and I went up and I was working with cadets. And I had a ball working with them. When I first showed up, they only had about 800 cadet visits in a year. 8,000 cadet visits in a year, which is one cadet visit to their student center per semester. That's pretty pathetic. Well, by the time I got done at Arnold Hall, we were over 36,000 cadet visits in a year. And all of that was because I was listening. And I sat down and talked to cadets and found out what they wanted, what they needed. In fact, I even did an awful lot of mentoring and counseling with them, and especially in the ethics area. I then decided that I needed to get a PhD, and so I started my coursework, and my dissertation was in the area of ethics. And in that area of ethics, I wrote a parable called The Ethical Coach Leader. And in this particular book, I don't know if you can see the book there, but in The Ethical Coach Leader, it takes place where a coach finds out that his star athlete has tested positive for steroids, and the coach has no clue what to do. And so when he finds out that he has this dilemma, he is visited by 5 ghosts. Yes, it's a little Dickens-esque, but it works. But these 5 ghosts are the ghost of experience, the ghost of example, the ghost of environment, the ghost of education, the ghost of information. And they all come to the coach with their ideas and showing the coach where he should have learned about ethics. And with that, the coach began to formulate something, but it just wasn't clear enough for him. And he went to his 2 mentors, who just happened to be my mentors, one of them from high school and one of them from college. And they then turned him to say, okay, this is what needs to be done. But you, as the coach, need to do this, and you need to think of your whole team and not just the individual, nor you. Well, this is a composite of all the different ethical issues that are occurring in society today. I grabbed a paper, the Colorado Springs Gazette, and here are 3 headlines from one day, just one day. Harassment allegations, 4 nonpartisan staffer complaints against a senator. Board member quits claiming bullying. Resignation comes after months in what this person calls a dog-eat-dog arena of a particular school board. And the final one I found, in the same day, Michigan State kept ties to coach accused of sex abuse. Now, when you take a look at that, we've got a big problem when it comes to ethics in society today. That's why I wrote this book. You see, when I was a captain and I was on the Azores Island, I was on the island of Tresera, I had a lieutenant that was my accountant. I was basically the CEO of a resort on an Air Force base. That's basically how to explain that. But I had this one individual who was going to go TDY, and he was supposed to use what we call appropriated funds, that's money coming from the taxpayers, and not non-appropriated funds. Well, what did he do? He used non-appropriated funds. He requested the money. He approved the request. He had the check made out to himself, and he signed the check. Well, that particular lieutenant did not last long in the United States. That is very unethical, and I had to place charges against him. And I wasn't afraid to do that because I'm not going to allow an unethical behavior to take place under my command. And then when I was over at the Air Force Academy, I had a second semester senior, which means this particular individual was going to graduate at the end of this term. And this person did some things that they ought not to have done. The individual came to me and asked me for a letter of recommendation to keep the individual at the Air Force Academy. And I had to look at the individual who had done a lot of work for us, but I had to tell this individual, no, I can't do that. I cannot see you as an officer in the United States Air Force, and I'm part of that long blue line. Even as a retiree, that's where I feel. So I sat down and I wrote this parable. I write parable, Resilient Man, that I haven't got published yet. And it is a parable about a man who has to go through an awful lot of trials and tribulations, and he has to become resilient over those issues. So I write a lot of parables in that vein because too many times it's easy to die by PowerPoint, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I like to do is, instead of doing that kind of education, people learn in different ways. And one of the ways that we learn, and I could go and pull up all the ethics books that you want, and it's all the same thing. Oh, ethics, what? And you want to go to bed, and that's how you go to sleep. Well, that's the reason why I wrote the parable, the ethical coach learn integrity. And in the book, I describe these 5 ghosts. I use them as part of what I call the wagon wheel of ethical decisions, because each spoke is one of those ghosts or experience, example, environment, education, and e-information. And as the wheel is turning on the road of situation, each spoke may have a different solution, but you have to determine which solution is best for you, for your team, as well as for the situation. And so that's where that wagon wheel comes in. That's basically what the ethical coach leader developing honor and integrity is all about. It's a very small, quick read book that I think people will enjoy. I also end with the Air Force Academy's honor code, and I also tell a story about Dartmouth College and an ethics dilemma that took place there in December of 2014. So, I've got a lot of those types of things that are going on, because we know ethics is defined as moral principles that govern a person's behavior. And we have lost sight. And you can see it in any of the headlines, in any of the papers or on television. We're losing ethics. We're losing the battle on ethics right now, and we need to come back to that. And I've taught character in the college level. I've taught character at the high school level, and it's something that I'm really firmly passionate about. I don't know if you can tell I'm passionate about this or not, but I'm passionate about the fact we need to be teaching ethics, and it needs to happen in all, not just, okay, we're going to take you out of history class and we're going to talk about ethics today. Go back to history tomorrow. No, we need to have ethics throughout the entire curriculum, whether in high school, whether within the church itself, or in politicians. And you can just, like I said, you can just take a look at what all we're having problems with in the ethical area. So does that answer your question? I know that's a long-winded, how did you get there? Well, I probably had several other questions, and I just went ahead and took the reins and went with it.
No, you're good. That answers it perfectly, and I love it. But it actually segues me into kind of the next question and bullet point I want to talk about. So on Embrace the Chase, a lot of my viewers and audience, they're people that are small business owners, or they're trying to figure out how to establish a personal brand or a business. And the reason why I bring this up is you have taken your life experiences, you've taken your background, you've taken other people that have influenced you in your life, and you've turned it into a personal brand, and you've turned it into a business, because you're also now a keynote speaker, and you travel all over the United States and talk on this. You have your book, and you're obviously launching other aspects, not only to make money off of it, but also to spread the message. So can you kind of talk about a little bit how people can either hire you as a keynote speaker, or how people can get connected to you?
Oh, I really don't want to keynote speak anymore. I really don't want to connect with people anymore. No, here's how you do it.
Oh, no. You paused. Are you still there? Sorry, everybody who's watching live right now. We are having technical difficulties today, to say the least. There we go. I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
So,
will you be able to piece things together?
Yes. I can go back through and fix everything. As of right now, we're live on Facebook for anybody that is watching, but I can go through and clean everything up later. All
right. The easiest way to get a hold of me would be to send me an email at Blaze, BLAZE 222 @msn.com, and you can get to me, or you can send me a message on Facebook. Make sure it's the right Dwight Johnson, because there's a lot of Dwight Johnsons out there, but you can get a hold of me that way. Also, if you didn't know, I've also written a one-man, one-act play called An Evening with Martin Luther. Last year was the 500th anniversary of the posting of the 95 Thesis, and I decided to write about a 55 to 60-minute play playing Martin Luther. And he was going, the character, Martin Luther, not the character, but we go over his life, and he talks about that. I can do Martin Luther. I'm speaking in June to the Hearing Loss Association of America National Convention on multi-generational hearing. And it's an interesting topic, because each generation deals with their issues in a different way. And so I'm going to be presenting that in June, the end of June, as well as doing Martin Luther in August in Wisconsin. So, if people want me to come and talk about ethics, my book has been used as supplement reading in an ethics class at New York Polytechnical University in Utica, New York. I also help write some of the curriculum for that, and I can also help develop curriculum for the individuals if they're interested in doing that. And we can talk, because one of the major things is really Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues. And if we could apply that 18th century philosophy to the 21st century, and if we're able to teach people about that, I think we can recover ourselves when it comes to ethics. It really bothers me when I'm seeing unethical behavior. It just drives me crazy. And because it's simple. Hey, folks, you need to understand what you're saying, what you're presenting, and what are you going to be doing when down the road somebody turns around and says, but you did it this way, so you need to control it. Oh, no. If you are ethical from the beginning, you'll be ethical through your life. And we need to start teaching that in the families. We need to start teaching that in schools. And we need to start practicing it in businesses. Small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses. Ethics is important. When you see, this business is going out of business. Why? Well, they weren't very good in customer service. Why is that? Because they were being driven by numbers, not by taking care of the customer. And ethically, you need to take care of the people. The people will then take care of the numbers. So how do you get a hold of me? Send me an email, Blaze, BLAZE, 222@msn.com, or reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can do that as well. So,
I want to play devil's advocate real quick. What exactly is ethics? So for anybody that's watching right now that's saying, wait, what's your definition? What do you mean I'm not doing something that I'm supposed to be doing?
Okay. Ethics is defined as moral principles that govern a person's behavior. Now, if you pull up at an intersection, as an example, and you see someone on the sidewalk and nobody else is around, and that person picks up a piece of trash, goes over and throws it away in the trash can, and that person is not looking around to be given credit. He or she is doing that simply because they want to keep their environment around them clean. It is all about the moral principle that goes on in your particular life. If you pull up in your car to an intersection and see that light is red and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you look around and you don't see any other traffic, pedestrians or cars, do you go ahead and go through that red light? Or do you abide by the law, hold until you get a green light? That is a moral principle. One of the things, notice I've got long hair, and that's because of the character of Martin Luther. But when I was in the Air Force, the way they taught us ethics was simply by, okay, men, and we also had ladies in our officer training corps, but they talked to the men particularly. They said, it's 12:01 on you've just completed Wednesday. It's now 12:01 on Thursday, and you shave. Have you technically shaved for the day, or should you shave again in the morning? Now, why would people say that? Why? What is the dilemma here? The dilemma is, and if you have not, but sir, I did shave. I shaved at 12:01. So I shaved today. Technically, he's right. But is that really principle that you want to live by. And so that's a roundabout way to get around, what is ethics. Also, ethical behavior, you have ethics in a gang, if you want, in a crime gang. You've got an ethical code. You have an ethical code in blue chip business. You have an ethical code within the military. And each one of those could be totally different, but you abide by the code that you are living with. And so you come back to what is right. I mean, when I left table tennis, I left because they didn't want to do what the United States Olympic Committee was saying we needed to do. And they wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't listen to them. And I couldn't be in that kind of an environment. And so I had to take my ping pong ball and go home, so to speak. So does that help explain?
That does. That helps.
The devil's advocate?
That helps give a baseline for anybody that's listening. But I do want to ask you the last question I have everybody on the show answer, and I'm pretty sure you may just summarize everything you've already said, but is there anything that's on your heart or on your mind that's really important to you that you want people to know about?
Yes. I have 4 grandchildren, 3 grandchildren that are just really special to us. But our 4th one, which we just received about 6 months ago, who has had open heart bypass surgery and is back in the hospital today with respiratory issues, and he has Down syndrome. And so Down syndrome has become, and I had an uncle that had Down syndrome as well. So I've been aware of the special needs of people through my entire life. But at the same time, I also, because I don't know if you can see this.
A little bit.
But that's what is called, here, I'll go back. It is called a cochlear baha. I am deaf in my right ear. And I now have this cochlear baha in which I'm able to hear on my right side. And so another passion of mine is hearing loss. That's how I got connected with the Hearing Loss Association of America. And so those are probably the 2 things that really I've become passionate about. I am doing some research right now. I may be writing another parable about Down syndrome and or hearing loss. So I'm still in that very mental elementary stages of where am I to go with this writing. So those are the 2 things that I have that, for the future, what I would like to try to do. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. I love it.
In addition to the ethics, which, let me tell you about ethics.
I love it. I love it. Well, for those of you that are listening right now, whether it's on the podcast, iTunes, etc., you can go follow Dwight Johnson. He is on Facebook. You'll see a very professional-looking photo, and it'll also say something along the lines of in his description that he works out at the Air Force Base in Colorado. That is the right guy if you're looking on Facebook. LinkedIn, you'll be able to find him as well. I'm also going to have a link for those of you that are watching the video of his book that you can pick up on Amazon. Please go check it out. For those of you that are listening, also go check it out. Again, it is The Ethical Coach Leader. Sir, I really appreciate your time today. Appreciate having you on. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I was just going to say they can also go to goread.com and go to the bookstore and pick up the book that way, in addition to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and Amazon as well. I love it. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Jordan, I want to thank you.
Of course.
I want to thank you for allowing me to come on your podcast and let me express what my passions, and maybe we can do it again some other time. Would love to. Would love to. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys. Take care.